There are some stories that begin in darkness and only later find their way to the light. This is one of those stories. It is the story of a bear who spent her life in pain. A life shaped by fear, cruelty, and human exploitation. Until one rescue mission changed everything. Her name is Noor, and this is the story of how she found freedom. In March 2025, a rescue team was already working in Pakistan on an urgent mission. They had come to save another bear, one who had also suffered greatly and was beginning the first fragile steps of recovery.
Girl.
But in the middle of that operation, another request for help arrived. Another bear needed saving. And this time, the situation was just as urgent, perhaps even more so. This was not a bear kept for baiting. She was a dancing bear.
Come on, dance.
A victim of one of the cruelest forms of animal exploitation. The authorities in Pakistan had been taking strong action to end this inhumane practice, and the local courts had already ordered her confiscation. But time was critical. If the team didn't move quickly, there was a real risk that she could disappear before help reached her. She was being kept in an unsuitable facility, nearly 400 kilometers away from where the rescuers were stationed. The mission had suddenly doubled in scale. 2 bears, 2 lives. 2 painful stories waiting to be rewritten. And without hesitation, the team said yes. What is a dancing bear? To understand Noor's rescue, we first have to understand the cruelty she survived. The term dancing bear may sound almost harmless to someone hearing it for the first time. It may even sound entertaining, but the reality is heartbreaking. A dancing bear is a wild animal forced to perform for human amusement. These bears are often taken as cubs and pulled away from the life nature intended for them. Instead of roaming forests, climbing, exploring, and living according to their instincts, they are forced into captivity and trained through pain. The method is brutal. Music is played while the bear is made to stand on painfully hot metal plates or other burning surfaces. As the animal desperately tries to escape the pain, it lifts its feet, shifts its weight, spins, and moves unnaturally. Over time, the bear begins to associate the music with pain, and those desperate movements are turned into what people call dancing. But there is no dance. There is only suffering, and the cruelty doesn't end there. To control the bear, handlers pierce a metal ring through the sensitive tissue of the nose. That ring becomes an instrument of pain, a way to force obedience with every pull.
Move on foot immediately.
In many cases, the bears also have their teeth removed, a horrifying act meant to make them less dangerous and easier to dominate. What remains is not an entertainer, but a traumatized animal trapped in a life of fear. Noor had lived through exactly this. By the time rescuers reached her, her body carried the evidence of years of abuse. And yet, despite everything, she was still holding on. And the call that changed the mission. The rescue team knew the window for action was small. The confiscation order had created an opportunity, but it had also created danger. Once abusers realize authorities are coming, animals can be moved, hidden, or vanished entirely. There was no guarantee Noor would still be there by the time the rescuers arrived. Still, they could not ignore the call. Another life depended on them. With one rescued bear already recovering in temporary care, the team reorganized immediately. Plans were adjusted, transport was prepared, coordination with the Islamabad Wildlife Management Board moved forward. And as night fell, the convoy set out. What lay ahead was not an easy journey. The roads were rough, the weather had turned bad, Rain pounded the ground, thunder rolled across the sky, and visibility dropped as the team pushed deeper into remote areas. The route passed through villages with poor road conditions, and much of the journey had to happen in darkness. But rescue work is often like this. It asks for endurance, it asks for courage, and sometimes it asks people to keep moving forward even when everything around them says stop. The mission would eventually last at least 16 hours. But for Noor, those long hours were nothing compared to the years she had already endured. Meeting Noor. When the team finally arrived, the reality of Noor's life came into focus. She was there, still waiting, still trapped, still living in conditions no bear should know. The facility was unsuitable, and her body showed clear signs of neglect. She was not strong and thriving the way a healthy bear should be. She was thin, anxious, worn down by a life that demanded suffering from her. And yet there was something else in her. She was gentle. Even after everything she had lived through, there was a quiet softness in her presence. She seemed cooperative, calm in a way that felt almost impossible considering the pain she must have known. It moved the team deeply. Because sometimes the most powerful sign of resilience is not aggression, but the fragile willingness to keep going. The rescuers worked carefully. Every movement mattered. Every sound, every adjustment, every moment had to be handled with patience. Noor was secured for transport, and little by little the impossible became real. She was leaving behind the place where she had suffered, leaving behind the people who had controlled her, leaving behind the life that treated her pain as entertainment. And as she began this journey toward safety, the team gave her a new name. They called her Noor, a name meaning light, a name chosen because after so much darkness, she deserved something bright.
You're safe with us.
A new name cannot erase trauma. It cannot heal a fracture. It cannot bring back stolen years. It cannot undo hunger, fear, or pain. But sometimes a new name can mark the beginning of something sacred.
Look at Noor,
a new
so
chapter.
Now.
The old
After
life
everything,
Noor had
she's
known
still
was
so
built on
cooperative.
exploitation.
This
In
is why
that
we do
life,
it.
she had not been seen as an individual. She was a tool, a display, a source of amusement for others. But now she was being recognized for what she truly was. A living being, a survivor, a bear worthy of care, safety,
Noor.
and
We're
respect.
here to help. The
Noor
vitals
was
are
no
stable.
longer
Let's get her
just a
into the
confiscated
crate.
animal in a rescue file. She was
Let's
someone
move out.
whose future mattered. And while she could not understand the meaning of the word itself, she could feel the difference in what it represented. Gentle handling, protection, medical attention, a chance to live without pain being used against her. For the first time, her story was beginning to change. The first medical assessment. Back at the rescue center, the team's first priority was clear. Noor needed a full veterinary assessment. The truth about abused animals often reveals itself slowly, not just in what is visible at first glance, but in the deeper injuries hidden beneath the surface. One of the first and most important procedures was the removal of the metal ring from her nose. For dancing bears, that ring is not simply a mark of captivity. It is a weapon of control, a constant reminder that obedience is enforced through pain. Removing it was more
Stone's
than a
breaking.
medical act.
We're almost there.
It was the removal
breathing
of a
is steady.
symbol
She's a
of
fighter.
cruelty.
Look at her. She's ready for the
Then
sun.
came the rest of the examination, and what the team discovered was heartbreaking. Noor had no teeth. At some point in her past, they had been removed, a cruel and devastating practice that leaves lasting physical and emotional damage.
Open the gate.
But there was
The bear is
more.
here.
The
Easy
loss
now,
of her
girl.
teeth
I'm gonna
had
take
led
good
to
care
an
of you.
old jaw fracture.
She's moving. Let's
She
get her
had
to the
likely
enclosure.
been living with the consequences of that injury for a long time. Eating would have been painful. Living would have been painful, and yet her suffering had gone untreated. She was also emaciated. Her body had been starved of proper
She's so much
nourishment.
stronger now.
Her condition reflected
new
long-term
A
neglect.
name for her new life.
And though she
about
was
Noor?
now
It
safe,
means
her
light.
anxiety remained
Noor.
visible.
A perfect name.
This is what cruelty does. It does not only wound the body, it reshapes the entire way an animal exists in the world. And still, Noor responded to care. She was fragile,
All right,
she
let's
was
get this
hurt,
ring out,
she
keep
was
her steady.
uncertain, but
Hold
she
her. She's
responded.
relaxed.
And
There.
in rescue
It's
work,
out.
that
No bleeding.
first
Good
response
work.
can
She'll
mean
feel so much better
everything.
now.
Because healing always begins with a sign, however small, that the body has not given up. The slow beginning of recovery. Healing does not arrive all at once.
Jaw and mouth look
There
clear.
is
no recent fractures.
no sudden
steady,
moment
checking for
where
muscle
all
atrophy.
fear
Overall condition is
disappears.
improving. Malnutrition
No
is resolving.
instant
She'll
where
be
the
ready for the
body
enclosure
forgets
soon.
pain. Recovery begins quietly, in small details, a calmer posture, a little more rest, a bit more interest in food, a little less fear in the eyes.
The
For
X-ray
Noor,
shows a clear fracture.
these
This
signs
is an old
began to
injury we
emerge
abuse.
in her
Poor girl.
temporary
We'll monitor her
enclosure.
closely. She can recover.
It was a place of safety.
Look, she's moving better
A
already.
place where no one would force her to perform. No one would hurt her for obedience. No one would turn her suffering into spectacle. For the first time, she was allowed to simply exist. And slowly, her personality began to show. This is one of the most beautiful parts of rescue. The moment an animal begins to reveal who they are beneath the trauma. Noor was selective for food. She had preferences. She especially liked roti with milk. She loved taking baths. And she showed a clear fondness for water, something that brought smiles to everyone caring for her. These details may seem small, but they are not small at all. Because a bear showing preference, a bear seeking comfort, a bear enjoying water, is a bear beginning to reclaim life. Cruelty had wounded Noor deeply, but it had not erased her spirit.
She's more alert today.
Somewhere beneath the pain,
Yes, her gait is
she
steadier.
was still there.
Noor.
Recovery
Keep
is
going.
never a straight line. Just as Noor seemed to settle into her new environment, another challenge appeared. Shortly after her relocation, she developed severe diarrhea and stomach pain. For a bear already weakened by neglect and injury, this was a serious setback. Rescue does not end when an animal is removed from cruelty. In many ways, that is only the beginning. Bodies that have survived long-term abuse often carry hidden damage. Conditions that were invisible at first can become dangerous later. The team responded immediately. Her treatment plan was adjusted, with anti-parasitic medication introduced, and her diet changed to a vegetable-only plan. It was a careful and necessary response, and thankfully, it worked. Gradually, Noor improved. The pain began to ease, her body stabilized, she began to grow stronger. For everyone involved in her care, it was a deeply relieving moment, because every small victory mattered. Every sign of improvement meant Noor was moving farther away from the life that had nearly broken her, and closer to the life she had always deserved. Finding friendship again. As Noor continued to recover, the team began preparing her for another important step: socialization. The hope was that she might one day share space with other young rescued bears in a common enclosure. This is never done casually. Animals who have experienced trauma need time, observation, and careful introduction. But in Noor's case, something wonderful happened. She was successfully reintegrated with two other young bears, Makra and Teddy, and soon a joyful bond began to form. The three bears were seen playing together, spending time with one another, and clearly enjoying each other's company. It was a beautiful sight, because
Her
play
condition has deteriorated.
means something.
Digestive issues, most likely
Play
from the stress
means
of relocation.
fear is
Yes, her
loosening
vitals
its
are dropping.
grip.
I'll get the antacids
Play
and fluids
means
ready.
the body is
Monitor her
beginning
closely.
to
We'll
feel
adjust the
safe.
plan based on her response.
Play means there is room now for more than survival. For a bear who had once lived in isolation, pain, and exploitation, companionship was a powerful kind of healing. Noor was no longer alone.
Let's prepare the
She had
antiparasitic for
found
Noor.
connection.
We need to adjust
And
her
in
diet
those
to help her
moments of
gain
play,
weight.
Yes,
splashing,
more leafy greens
and
and
simple
carrots.
shared
Exactly.
joy,
This should help
you
her
could
recover.
see something extraordinary. Not just rescue, not just recovery, but belonging. What freedom means for Noor. For some rescued wild animals, freedom means returning to nature. But for bears like Noor, the reality is more complicated. Years of abuse, the removal of teeth, old injuries, emotional trauma, and the long-term effects of captivity can make life in the wild impossible. So what does freedom mean for a bear like Noor? It means living without pain being used as punishment. It means
Noor is
having
looking
enough
stronger.
space
Time to
to
observe
move
her with
safely.
the others. She's
It means
curious,
being
a
able
good sign
to
for
eat,
socializing.
rest, bathe,
Patiently
and
now.
explore
Let them get used to
without
each other.
fear.
This is the
It
hopeful part.
means receiving medical care. It means being protected from the people who once exploited her. It means companionship. And it means never again being forced to dance for human entertainment. Noor may never recover the years that were stolen from her, but she has something now that cruelty once denied her: peace. And sometimes, peace is its own kind of freedom. Why her story matters. Noor's story is not just about one bear. It is about what humans are capable of doing to animals, and what other humans are willing to stop it. A dancing bear does not exist because nature intended such a life. She exists because cruelty was normalized, because suffering turned into spectacle, because pain was hidden behind the language of performance. That is why stories like Noor's matter. They force us to see the truth. There is nothing harmless about forcing a bear to move through fear and pain. Nothing cultural or innocent about breaking an animal's body for public amusement. Nothing entertaining in trauma. But her story shows us something else. It shows us that intervention matters, that rescue matters, that laws matter, that collaboration between local authorities, wildlife experts, and rescue teams can save lives, and that after terrible suffering, healing is possible. Not perfect healing, not the kind that erases the past, but real healing, the kind that replaces fear with safety, pain with treatment, isolation with companionship, and hopelessness with light. Noor's new beginning. Today, Noor lives a very different life than the one she once knew. She is no longer a victim forced to perform. She is no longer controlled by a metal ring. She is no longer trapped in a place unfit for survival. She is no longer just enduring. Now she is healing. She has caregivers who protect her. She has treatment when she is unwell. She has space to move. She has water to enjoy. She has food she likes. She has friends beside her. And most importantly, she has time. Time to rest. Time to recover. Time to discover what life can feel like when pain is no longer waiting at every corner. No rescue can give Noor back the years she lost. That is one of the hardest truths in animal welfare. But rescue can do something else. It can make sure the future is kinder than the past. And for Noor, that future has already begun. The bear who once suffered in silence now lives in safety. The bear who was once forced to dance now gets to play. The bear who lived in darkness now carries a name that means light. Noor. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of her story. Not that she survived cruelty, but that she lived long enough to find kindness after it.
This is not just the story of a rescue. It is the story of what happens when compassion arrives in time. And for Noor, that compassion changed everything.